Hello, I'm Leah, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to handcraft your life by making this gorgeous crepe paper flower bouquet. Now, each of these flowers, we have done a video tutorial for you, and we have links for those below. So I've gathered them together along with some extra pieces, and I'm going to show you exactly how I would assemble all of these flowers to make this beautiful bouquet. For this gorgeous crepe paper bouquet, I've picked 4 different flowers. I'm starting with this pink peony, and that's going to be my main focal flower. And then we have different colors of the ranunculus, and I'll pick and choose which ones I use as I make the bouquet. I might use all of them, we'll see. And then I have 5 of these pretty pink and orange tulips. And last, I have 3 stems of this sweet pea. And that's just to add a little bit more texture. For leaves, I've gathered all kinds of leaves I found over my studio, and we'll have links for those below. And there's a few extra steps for this, so we'll do that next. For my materials and tools, I have some 18 gauge wire, and we're going to extend the leaves with this wire. And along with that, I have some floral tape, and this is also what we'll bind the bouquet with. Then I have some pretty green ribbon, and I will go ahead and wrap the bouquet handle with this green ribbon so that it's not sticky for the bride. And I have my wire cutters for the wire and then some scissors to cut the ribbon. The flowers are all ready to go into the bouquet. They have nice long stems, but a lot of my leaves don't. And I'm going to add a longer wire to these, and on some of them where there's just 2 leaves, I actually want to bundle them into 2. So I'll go ahead and do that. I'll bring in a wire. And I'm using a darker tape for this one because it does have a darker stem, and I'd like to match that, even though it probably won't show. And I'll just go ahead and stretch that tape right around all 3 wires. I'm not going to need this whole piece of wire, so I'll trim that down. I'll make it about the same length, a little bit shorter than the flowers. And I'll go ahead and do that to all of my leaves. You'll notice that I have left a couple inches on the top of each leaf, and that way I can pull them apart if I want to once they're in my bouquet. I can arrange them. So I'm not taping them really tight at the top. Although if you do that, that's okay too. Some variety is always good. My leaves are ready, and we'll start assembling. But for crepe paper or for paper flower bouquets, I usually do start with the largest flower rather than the greenery because I don't have a lot of greenery. I want to use it as an accent, where if I were making a live bouquet, I would put the greenery in first and then place the flowers. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and pick, I would say 3 of our large head peonies. We might not want to do more than 3 because they're really quite big. So I'm going to pick 3 that have a bit of variety as far as size. One looks a bit tighter, another looks a little more fluffy. Let's see, I think I'll pick this one. This one's smaller. Just need some petals adjusted. You can do that once we get the flowers in the bouquet as well. So I'll go ahead and place these in somewhat of a triangle. Now the thing about doing a bridal bouquet is you're arranging, but you're wanting it to face out when the bride holds it. So sometimes that's a bit tricky. I'm holding the bouquet so that I know how everything lays, but I can't see it because it's on the other side. So one of my tricks that I like to use is I actually have a mirror right over here. It's hidden so you don't have to look at it, but that way I can always check the front of my bouquet as well as the back as I'm making it. So here's a basic arrangement of a triangle, and I can move these around as I start to build the bouquet. You just have to start somewhere. I think I'll go ahead and add some of the tulips next because they do have a bit of a larger head than these ranunculus do. And I think I'll cluster an orange and a pink. I have 5 total. And these are, all my stems are really thick, so I'm gonna have to place these carefully and then bend things around. So I have 2 there and 2 there. And as you're building this, you'll notice things are really tight at first, and that's okay. You just have to get things in your hand And then I'll start taping once I know the basic position. So once you have things in your hand and you're building it out, you will end up pulling the stems apart to give the flowers a little bit more breathing space. All right, let's see how that looks. Maybe we'll pull this one down a bit. And I'm going to start pulling in some ranunculus. I'll start with some brighter colors and then add some lighter colors. I'm going to move these leaves just so I can reach these flowers a bit easier. I think I'll add a few more of these orange pops. I really like how they play off of the center of those peonies. And you can see how I'm just bending the heads around to have it all make sense. And I'm also going to bend some of the flowers out to the side, especially the tulips. Tulips tend to have a shape that falls outward. And you know, the ranunculus, if you see them in nature, they go all over the place. Their stems are often pretty bent. So you can play that up with these bouquets. Let's see, maybe this other orange one here to sit here beside the orange tulip. My hands are getting pretty full and I'm gonna start taping in just a minute. I feel like I'm missing something here. So what if I did a cascade of some ranunculus? And again, I'm just gonna bend them down. Now that I see where I'm at, I'm feeling like I do want at least one more peony, although that would make 4. So I'll see if I can fit 2 more in. Let's find the smallest that I have. And I'm gonna tuck them a little bit deeper into the bouquet so they're not face forward. You can see how this one's tucked back. And I do think I need 1 more. Let's see. Maybe I'm gonna need to move some of these guys. And again, tuck this one back pretty deep. Okay, that's looking better. Now I feel like I wanna have a few more flowers in this section. So I think I'll go ahead and release. This is why I didn't wanna tape too soon. My bouquet is arranged. I'm really loving how it looks in the mirror. So the next thing I want to do to secure it is go ahead and tape everything. Again, I'm gonna move my hand down the stems just a bit and then start the tape right above. This is a little tricky. It's a lot to handle. Since I'm not really willing to let go quite yet, I'll wrap it around this direction first. And even if it's not really tight as you begin, don't worry about it. You can go back and tighten it up. You just really want to get some sort of security on that before you start turning your bouquet around in your hand. And so that's going to be really helpful. Okay, so I'll go ahead and the way that I like to do it is I'll place the tape and then I'll pull it and then I'll rotate the bouquet in my hand rather than try to wrap the tape around the bouquet. That seems to work better for me. And I'm going to want to wrap pretty much the whole stem. I've already folded the wires up for my thicker stems that have the flowers on them, but all of my leaf stems are still a little bit lower, so I want to trim those off and make sure that they're higher so that they don't poke the bride's hand. They need to be higher than the fold of the wire. So before I go any further, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Let's get my wire cutters in there. Go ahead and cut just a bit shorter. That way all these wires are tucked in. I'll be covering all of this tape with the ribbon. So go ahead and be generous with the tape. You do want it to be secure. And it's pretty sticky. You can see it just ripped off. I just keep going. Start over, keep going. All right, I'll pull the tape and I think that's ready to go. Before I do my final arranging and tweaking, I'll go ahead and put my ribbon on. And for this, I have this beautiful silk ribbon that I love to use because it shapes really nicely. And I'm going to start at the top, wrap down, and then go back up again and tie it off. So all I need is a few inches to tie a knot. I'm not going to tie a bow on this. If you wanted to tie a loopy bow, you'll need more ribbon. So all I'll do here is just place the ribbon vertically, and then I will, it's very sticky, which helps, and I'll go ahead and do a fold, and then start wrapping the ribbon around the bouquet. And same thing, I like to rotate the bouquet rather than the ribbon, that way it doesn't get so tangled. Just make sure that this stays out of your way. And wrap it as tight as you can. You can use really any color of ribbon. I do like using green ribbon for handles because it matches the greenery more so, and it's more of a neutral, where if you do a color of your flower, that would be all right too, but it does take some focus off the flowers. So I feel this doesn't compete with the flowers themselves. Now I will want to cover the base. So when I get here, I'll do somewhat of the same thing where I loop it over. You might actually want to use a pen here. This actually works well. Go ahead and use a straight pen or a sewing pin. And then that will give you something to hang on to. You'll wrap that over the end. It's a little tricky. You can do that. And I'll go ahead and just grab it, and then I'll go back down and cover all my edges. There we go. You can see when I pull it off like that, it gets really twisted, which makes it a bit harder. I'm gonna go ahead and cut my ribbon. I think this will be plenty. That way I can flatten everything out. Okay, and then I'm going back up. Okay, here I am back at the top again, and I have just enough here to tie a knot. I can lay the bouquet on the table, it won't hurt anything, and use both hands here. And remember to make a nice straight knot. Whatever one's shooting off the top, you'll want to make sure it goes up and over the second one, and that way you get a nice flat straight knot. And I can trim this to make it match, or you can even go shorter if you want to. Remember, if you're trying to do the V cut, cut from the fold to the edge so that you don't get a point, instead you get 2 points. So there's the back, that is so pretty. Now I can take a look at the bouquet from all angles and move some petals around. Here I'm just straightening up some of these tulips. I can see if there's anything else that maybe I can move this little head to face this direction. Maybe move a leaf so that one of the flowers can be seen better. And just do all your final little tweaks. And there it is. So I hope this video gave you some great ideas on how to take your gorgeous flowers that you've made and you may not know what to do with them. I love to reuse my flowers over and over again for different projects. Make sure that when you do craft along with me that you use #MadeWithLeah, because we love to see the projects that you make and we want to share them with the community as well.